Let's play hypotheticals, though.
Mm-hmm.
Say we don't win this game against Costa Rica, even if it's a draw. Where do you think Gregg Berhalter? Do you think we're riding out Gregg Berhalter throughout this World Cup qualifying phase, no matter what? Or maybe not no matter what. That feels pretty extreme. But, I mean, if we drop a few more games, one more qualifying window where we don't get that many points, do you think U.S. Soccer would consider firing him? And if so, now who would you bring in? And I feel like Jesse Marsch isn't a viable option because I think he's going to be with RB Leipzig, and I don't think he'll be ready to leave after only, 6 months on the job. So It has to be somebody realistic, everybody in the comments.
Well, who's coming for it? Landon? Landon wants the job for sure. Landon wants the national team job. I guarantee you Landon wants it. I don't know. He'll take it anytime. I think for sure that's an ambition for any player.
Sure.
I think, but I don't think we're at the point where we need to discuss his job yet.
That's why we're playing hypotheticals.
Well, I mean, we're going to discuss it, but I'm not saying that I don't think they're discussing his job yet. Saying, I don't think they're creating hypotheticals yet. They took a long time to hire Gregg Berhalter. If you remember, there was an interim for like a year and a half before they hired that job, and it was all this argument of like, man, we've had all this time. You could have been getting this group together. You could have been building the next generation. Imagine if all these guys had 10 more games to them, and blah 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 of cohesion. Well, guess what, Jimmy? There is no cohesion in this team now. We are rotating 7 players in and out of things. So I do want to be critical of that. I would say today is the first time that I personally have thought about, is Gregg doing the right thing with these players and with these teams? Is he finding a way to motivate them? I know how hard it is at times to motivate players. Is he putting out the right game plan? Does the team buy into it? Mm-hmm. And when you look at today, it just felt like a day where there was a lot of players that looked like they didn't know what to do to get a result down there. And maybe that's lack of experience. Maybe that's too many changes. Maybe that's the tactics. Maybe it's a number of things that all played into just a really bad night. But then I try to okay, let's isolate that. But then I'm like, no, I got to have this connective tissue with Honduras in the first half. And I got to have this connective tissue against Canada. And I got to have this connective tissue against El Salvador. And we've been able to sweep it under the rug because we get points and we figure out how to stay in games and we claw our way back miraculously against Honduras. But now when I look at it, I go, okay, maybe there's something more to it. I hope there's not. I hope we put together a fantastic result, which I think we should at home. I don't think we've had a string of games at home yet to really, really rally around. I think Jamaica was the first point, and we go, okay, that's how we can play at home. So I want to see that against Costa Rica. I want to see a dominant performance against Costa Rica. But yeah, I think if we don't win this one, I think we're still in the thick of it all, and you get another 3 games, and I still like our chances against anybody else in the top 3. But we're now you've got Costa Rica that's in the mix. You've got El Salvador that has some belief. And the worst thing that can happen is all these teams think that they have a chance because on any given day, we've obviously shown that we can play poorly, especially away from home. And even at home against Canada. And so I'm worried about what that means for the belief in Gregg Berhalter if he can't get 3 points. But like I said, I think it was on HQ. This went from being this Costa Rica game went from being a must win to being, oh my gosh, we have to win. A must win because it's home game and you're supposed to win your home games, to being like, oh man, we've messed up and now we have to fix it. And that's not a great position, though I do think we have the quality to do so.
Okay, so getting some great comments about who should be the coach. Angel, want to give a shout out to Angel. He says, Jimmy in. Sign me up, sucker. Heath will be my assistant. Let's roll, babe. We can even co-head coach. I don't even mind.
I'm more of like a second assistant. Like I like to get out on the pitch, set up the cones, you know what I mean? Get ready for the 5v2, maybe jump in the 5v2 while the first assistant and the head coach are warming up the group over there on the side that are going to play that day. Maybe sling a few shots at the goalkeepers, that sort of thing. That's more of my role.
I actually think you'd be amazing at it since I know you as well as I do. And then we had a shout from Hillian who said that Hugo Perez would be a great national team coach for us. Mm-hmm. And I agree with him, but that'd be crazy to have him leave El Salvador in the middle of qualifying and go to the U.S. So that's crazy, but I'm here for it. And then we said Matt that said Oscar Pereira would be a good shout. I think it'd just be interesting. Somebody's like, well, if you had another coach, what could they do to it's just so hard to know these hypotheticals, even though I like to play and swim in those waters. We don't know what Oscar Pereira could do with this team. We don't know what Hugo Perez could do with this team. It could be worse. That is one of the options. It could be worse. And I think Gregg has done a great job building culture. I think he's done a great job of identifying talent and building a very deep pool. But then that next step is, how can he get the most out of these guys? And we've seen it at times. But to a comment that was made earlier, there are times where we struggle going forward where we don't necessarily have the solutions that we need to have. And maybe there's not a lot of in-game tactics that are happening that can help unlock some of the pressure, because the players, because as you know, right, you go into the game, if you're playing for 30 minutes away from home and it sucks and it's hot and it's bumpy and you don't have the ball, your frustration goes from 0 to 100 so quickly, because you're like, God damn it, why can't we just get everybody in a good shape and make plays? And it's so hard to regain that. And the other team are savvy. They know exactly what they're doing, and they know they have an advantage, both physically and mentally and tactically. And it's really hard to get that back. That's why I thought halftime at 0-0 was so important in this game, and that we couldn't regain it. Even with a couple subs, we still couldn't find that way. I was surprised he didn't actually start Pepe the second half as well, just to kind of get him into that rhythm right away. Instead, he waited. I thought he waited a little bit too long for Pepe, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I do want to say this before everybody thinks that Jimmy and I are driving 120 miles an hour with our seatbelts off, ready to drive off a bridge. We're not. We're just creating hypotheticals here. Yes, I do want to say this though. This team will qualify for the World Cup. Okay, I'm not worried about that. This team, 75% of it will be the DNA and makeup of the 2026 team. And the reason I say that is because what Gregg Berhalter is dealing with is a lot of young players. And we don't have, we saw that we are lacking in the last qualifying cycle who the leaders are. And leaders aren't always by age. And we're starting to see some of them emerge in terms of being reliable, being consistent, being a good leader by voice or by tone or by example with the team. We're seeing the team go through the throes of the controversies of Weston McKennie. We're seeing Tyler Adams' role emerge. Tyler Adams has, I think I saw today was like 17 caps. Can you believe that he has 17 caps? That's it.
I know. It feels like he's been there up for there. He's going to be our captain moving forward.
And so when I look at this team, I again look, our most capped players were Paul Arriola, Giassi Zardes. I think Sebastian Lletget is up there. But when I look at DeAndre Yedlin, obviously, but outside of that, you're talking about guys in single digits, maybe early double digits in caps across the board, our best players. You know, we're talking about Ricardo Pepi on match 3, I guess, of his national team run right now. We're talking about, I guess Kellen Acosta's in the 40s as well. But outside of that, these are young players. And I think this is what you have to go through. You have to go through some of these tough times as players. You wish that they weren't at the detriment to us as fans as result that come with the lack of results. But that is the upside that's going to come out of all this, is the cohesion that's being built, the unity that's being built out of these hardships and these hard times, both good times and bad, that will lead this team forward, not just now, but we're talking about young players. We're not just talking about our best guys in the prime of their careers getting us to a World Cup, and then we cross our fingers, hope we don't get in the group of death, which we will, and then try to get results. We're talking about building a foundation for the future. And then when you look at the pipeline of, not Brendan Aronson, I'm talking about Paxton Aronson, 18 years old, and what he's going to be, and the next generation of players that are going to fight for these spots. That's what makes me excited, even on a tough night like tonight.